Howdy there, folks, from the streets of Panguitch, Utah. This is the Cactus Atlas, and I'm Glenn, and I'm going to take you on a tour down the All-American Highway, Route 12 here in Utah, to where I'm spending the night in Kodachrome Basin State Park. I decided to start this episode in this historic town, founded in 1864. I did some research on how you people in Utah pronounce this town. I don't know if the internet's right, but the way that it was phonetically represented was like the word pain, P-A-N, P-A-I-N, then goo, G-O-O, witch, like sandwich, Panguitch, Panguitch. I would say it faster than that. So if you're from here, tell me if that's right or wrong. I don't know much about this town, other than I like the way some of these buildings look and they look the part. And look at this, they got some history here. The pictures on the sign have some black and white photos from 1914 that mentions the ornate Lee's Indian store right there across the street, which at one point served as a pool hall and other things. Very ornate, really pretty building though. Here's another sign that talks about some of the buildings across the street, and you can see this used to be a Rexall drugstore next to the Indian jewelry. I wonder if that sign, the one that says authentic Indian jewelry, is that's in the picture. I wonder if that's the original. Most of the businesses they talk about on the signs are like running in the 40s, 50s, stuff like that. But the town has roots back to the 1800s. 1864 is when it was founded. Most likely, I think, by Mormon settlers. This area of Utah is pretty much the land of the Mormon back then. I wasn't expecting to have this many signs here, but they're talking about the first cafe here that opened in 1925. Which one would that be? Let's see, I think it would be, I think it's this building here that's in the picture. It makes sense because these are usually right across the street from what they're talking about. I think that's correct. And that Thunder Horses Mercantile building is pretty cool looking too. That building's the old firehouse. Looks like an old firehouse. There's another sign here, maybe it will confirm if it really is an original firehouse. I would imagine so. What do we got here? The pink polka dot. It's really cool looking. I think my favorite building, I don't know how much it's been restored or whatever, it's this one here, the green building. That is beautiful. Such a beautiful building. Looks like it's got fresh paint on it. I love this. Today it's Thunder Horses Mercantile. Just some kind of local, I guess, shop full of doodads where John Wayne's greeting you at the door, pointing a gun at you here in Panguitch. So our starting point here in Panguitch, Utah. We're gonna head over to 12. However, I was looking at some varying ways to get there that might actually be dirt. And I think that's maybe what I wanna do instead, is make our way to 12, but not the way I was going to go, which was 89 to 12, the traditional touristy way. Rather, I'll take a dirt road. I think that will give us options. That takes us to something called Casto Canyon. There's another loop there that one can do, which I may skip and head out to 12 when the time is appropriate, because there's some things off of 12 that I want to actually get out and do today too, and stretch our legs. So part of the reason for this video is actually a mulligan, a redo, because if you've watched our content, you would have noticed, I think we were up here in Bryce Canyon area a few months ago, and in Escalante Petrified Forest State Park, all of that. That trip wasn't done yet, and some of you said, oh, you missed the best stuff. Oh, I know what's beyond towards Boulder, trust me. I got sick. I thought it was cedar fever allergies, because there was lots of pollen and I got issues with that. But it was bad, unlike anything I had, and then it kept getting worse, so I decided just to head home to be safe rather than get stuck up here really sick. I got home still convinced it was cedar fever and not some kind of illness, and turns out it was, and because Amy got sick. Now, some of you are saying this isn't the most interesting thing at all. It's beautiful in its own way, but you know, we're near Bryce Canyon, aren't we, Glenn? Where's all the cool stuff? Well, we're driving straight at it, and you're gonna see plenty of that. And we're not even going into Bryce Canyon, and you're gonna see plenty of it, because there's lots of little spots you can stop at along that All-American Highway, Utah State Route 12. Lots of pull-offs, scenic pull-offs, and even hiking trails. Even I would say a Bryce Canyon trail that I've never done, the Mossy Cave Trail, which is, it's going down today. I don't care. I saw a user said there was an alternate parking lot for overflow that I just somehow missed, and sure enough, it's there. And sure enough, the main parking lot's always full. But now that I know that, I can finally get that one off the list. That one's been eluding me for years, just because I can't for the life of me find a parking spot. There's a loop that also, I think we're coming up on Casto Canyon, and some decision points where we're gonna hit probably some forest roads. I assume we're in the Dixie National Forest. So I can cut a right and get back out to 12 on the pavement, which is fine. That was the original plan anyway. Or we can cut up Casto Canyon and make this into an off-roading adventure. The only issue that I have, maybe I should pull over and check some maps while I have an almost full signal out here, is that takes me back, I think, out towards Panguitch. And we do not want to do that. Do you see that Red Rock landscape there? We're near Red Rock Canyon, Lossy Canyon, which I think we filmed in that once a few years ago. Amy can put, you know, maybe some B-roll up on that one. It was that, I forget what we called it. It was like Bryce without crowds or something like that. I don't know. It's this area. So there's lots of that Bryce landscape you can enjoy without people if you know where to look. And I would even say you don't technically need a four-wheel drive, or, you know, this road here, your Ford Pinto, no problem. Map has been studied, and I downloaded an offline map for this area here in the Dixie National Forest. And I think we are gonna try doing part of this Casto Canyon. And I found a way to get through. It's a combination of another onX user's route mixed with turning off onto a forest road at one point to get back out to 12. Not too far out from Red Canyon Campground, if you know where that is. Wish the sun was somewhere else right now, but we're just gonna do the best we can. This is basically the beginning, I think, of Casto Canyon. And if I turned right, that would take us to Lossy or Lossy Canyon, L-O-S-E-E. Somewhere really close. There's an arch I found here and other stuff, but some old corrals back here too, it looks like. And what do we got? Chia. Wow, 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 wow. Let's get out and we'll explore and we'll talk a little bit here. We'll look at some of their maps and we'll compare it to mine. Right. There's actually a vault toilet here too. So we're here at the Casto Canyon trailhead. Not here to do any hiking. I'm here to do driving. Hopefully I didn't misinterpret that onX thing. It should be a driving route, right? I think ours is just going to continue. No, that's how you get to Lossy. There's a wash over there. We'll figure it out. We're supposed to go back this way somewhere into this canyon. Has been a lot of heavy rains in the area in the last couple days and flash flood warnings, but nothing, I think, that's dry as a bone over this way from where I came from. So I haven't seen any evidence of heavy rain on this side. Here's a map of the area. You could see, I mean, where are we at here? We're somewhere up. I think we're right here. Yeah, we're right here. And we got to figure out our route. I don't know what road it follows. I'm not in my car to look at this, but anyway, you can kind of see the Casto Canyon Trail allows ATV use through the spectacular Red Rock country and connects. I need to see, can I get a truck back there? We'll see what onX says. If that's not possible, no worries at all, because then what I'm gonna do is head down Lossie back out to 12. I think we're here, so what I wanted to do is to go, I think, up this way and make my way back down to 12, but if we have to, we can start here and I think come down here's, which would be that ways. So let's go figure out what onX is saying, because I'm confused a little bit now. I can see tire tracks here. You would agree, even for my slim little slim, I could get him back there. Don't you worry. He'd get some, I guess, I don't know what they call the desert pinstriping up here. It's something different. Juniper pinstriping. This doesn't look like a road meant for larger 4x4s like mine, to be honest. onX will tell me though. See what I'm saying? I'm not worried about scratching him up so much, but that, yeah, he's gonna get a brushing. Let's go a little bit further and peek. The tire width of some of these tire tracks, or the width, I don't know, like right there. I mean, that looks, it's hard for me to tell if each side is made by a recent vehicle. If so, that's a wider vehicle than mine. That may not be how I'm reading that correctly. I'm not a professional tracker here. Oh, and look at this. There's our answer. No motorized vehicles wider than 50 inches allowed in Casto Canyon. And I guess here's your barrier to entry. They're gonna make sure of it here. I think you can walk over it, but Slim ain't fitting through there. He's not slim enough. I need to go look and see what the heck onX is saying then, because it does tell you what it's suitable for, so maybe I just overlooked that. That's makes it okay to me though, because I said this is kind of a casual exploration, right? So if there's some faux pas, some messes ups, who cares? I imagine you can either take a horseback ride back here somewhere, or like I said, your small ATV, dirt bike, or just on foot, somewhere back in that beautiful area. I mean, it's a Bryce Canyon landscape, except we're not in Bryce Canyon and I'm the only one here. All right, let's take in one last view of Casto Canyon area. And I'm really sad that we can't drive up that apparently in my truck, but we'll get to the bottom of that when we get back in Slim. Slim's upset. I'm telling you, he's getting really mad with me because we're not utilizing him to his full potential, he's telling me. Okay, I looked at onX, and onX says that it's only accessible to dirt bikes and has the ATV symbol and dirt bikes on there, so they had it on there. I didn't look. But that's okay, because I knew about all these other crisscrossing roads, but that's a bummer, because that actually sounds awesome. But maybe it'll be cool. Maybe one day I will come back here and walk it. I'd like to do it on horseback, actually. Actually, horseback riding is something I really want to do on this channel. I would love to have a horse. No offense to Slim, but I think these episodes, these off-roading, off-pavement things would be completely next level if it was done on a horse. But people in my family said I shouldn't do that because I have to stick around and take care of Amy, and they say that it's dangerous, but I don't know. I don't want to do horseback riding like as a tour though. I want to learn how to ride horses. I don't want the expense of owning a horse. I just want to be able to go somewhere I trust and people I know and be able to rent a horse, maybe learn how to tow a horse somewhere, and just go by myself with said horse. Anyway, I'll dream of horseback riding some other time. But yeah, the Casto Canyon, that seems like that would be the best way to do that. I'm sure doing it as a group with trained people is fine too. I'm a loner, I can't help it. I prefer to do things, it adds a level of making things more personal. We are coming up on this Lossy Canyon. I kind of remember this area. Is this it here? I mean, I might turn around here and see. There's like an arch back here and other stuff. We did a video on it once. Yeah, Arches Trail. So here's what I'm gonna do just to save time. I don't want to retrace old footsteps, but I don't know what we even called the video. I don't even know if I knew it was called Lossy or Lossy Canyon. But I came up this road, I'm pretty sure, in a non 4x4 passenger car years ago and hiked back there. So we'll use this as an opportunity to plug ourselves. And I think the point I was going for is, hey, you want Bryce Canyon landscape and an arch without any crowds or people? And that was kind of the theme of the video. And to that person who's gonna say, you're ruining everything and telling everybody about everything, I just drove by there all these years later, despite my video, and I don't see a single dang car back there. So, evidence, 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 please. All right, we are coming back out now on 12. I see it right up here. I see the familiar shine of the Cruise America RVs everywhere. Here's like some really nice little scenic pull-offs that you can stop at. Here comes somebody here. Oh, he's gonna keep going. But what I'm gonna do is stop at this visitor center. I don't know if it's gonna be open. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. We're 14 miles from Bryce Canyon. Some of this drive you've seen recently on other videos. I'm sure you're gonna recognize the little tunnels and stuff. Red Rock, that Red Canyon. I see Red Rock Canyon, I mean Red Canyon campground is right up here. We did a Campview drive-through of that. Beautiful campground. I'm here again, and there's lots of vacancy again. So I'm just guessing this is not a heavily utilized campground. Oh, now it will be though, Glenn, because everybody knows about it now. You told them. You done told them. Well, it's right off of the 12 here too. I mean, you can see it like right here. I don't think the All-American Highway needs any help at this point. I think it's a very well-known thing. I think if you don't realize these things, you need to wake up and open your whole eyes. And I think the best thing we can do is, rather than worry about those things, we can come out here and we also can use it for the power of positivity and advocate the right ways of behaving and create communities where we band together to combat the BS and the people doing the bad things. I'm out here combating it. I've seen people do some really disgusting things and stuff, and I'm, using things like Campview, as you will see, to voice my opinion about that stuff, to try to make the world better. Well, that's my soapbox today. I thought this is an appropriate time to just get that one out, but I hope Amy puts it in. I don't know what she puts in the final cut or not. And there's Mr. Slim again with that background. That Red Canyon campground somewhere like right up the road, less than a mile on the other side of the highway up there. And you can kind of see the landscape that campground is in and why I'm pretty obsessed with it. This is the kind of thing where I look forward to my retirement one day where I can come here and just enjoy this stuff, not to make videos and work, but read every little sign. I just do not have time and discover every nook and cranny. Or just come up to a place like this and plop down for, instead of like a few days at a time, several weeks at a time. That's what I need to do. But things that sting, prickle, or bite. Yeah, I'd say all of those are qualifiers for that. All the stuff that we love. See, this is what I really want to do, is obviously there's, I love seeking out stuff like petroglyphs and pictographs, and you have things like that out here somewhere, but it's just something that I don't have time to do. Red Canyon Visitor Center. There's a little museum in here that has a lot of history and stuff. This is awesome. The National Forest Museums usually don't even have a museum. old Forest Service first aid kit. Oh wow. So I was wondering if these tunnels were more modern in construction, and you can see there, we're gonna drive through these. That looks original, and today it almost looks like they reinforced it and put like concrete or something around that and painted it to match the rock. But that looks like it's just straight up all natural tunnel there. I like that. They say the 6-shooter tamed the West, but it was more likely the wheel. That's actually a very clever, true thing to say. Anyway, there's so much to read and take in this place. I am really, really happy here. Such a cool little visitor center. I should start wearing this instead. You guys say I need like a cowboy hat. This visitor center is awesome, and gift shop also amazing. I actually bought a t-shirt. They were very like reasonably priced. So I bought a gift for somebody. And I bought a poster for me to extend my collection because that was a very unique one. So, but the best part was I was geeking out in there with a lady, one of the people working in there, about the history. I started asking where all the cool stuff is, and got a lot of recommendations. And thankfully, there's one place in particular that I'm going to, where there's some really cool stuff there, some Mormon history, Brigham Young era history down there. So that's going to not be today, but yeah, these people are, thank you so much, whoever you are, in case you watch this video. I didn't tell her that I make videos though. I saw this weird structure, and there's a sign over there saying historic cabin. So let's see what this is. Ah, this is unreadable is what it is. Almost. Something about Podunk. Is that what it says? We're in Podunk, Utah. Anyway, this is supposed to be a historic cabin, I guess. Interesting looking one. I'm guessing, if I had to guess, it's like an old Forest Service cabin or something like that before they built the modern visitor center. Looks like they have like an area you can walk in and see. I just wish I knew a year on this thing, but that's my guess, is an OG early 1900s Forest Service cabin. And you got those iconic hoodoos. Very Bryce Canyon here. Well, let's leave this visitor center. We're gonna drive up, we'll see those iconic tunnels. Now we saw that old-timey picture, we know that goes back further than I would have counted for. How cool would it have been to be here back then and riding one of those old-timey vehicles? The only time I've ridden in anything that resembles that are the old-timey vehicle rides they have at amusement parks, where you just drive those things on the rails, like renditions of those things. But I think that would have been a much more exciting, different time, and it would feel more rugged. I guess I'm gonna go around this guy. And yes, we are retracing a little bit of the same thing we saw when I drove from Kanab in a video we did. Stopped at the Sand Caves on that episode, spent the night at the Perry Lodge, and drove all the way to Escalante Petrified Forest State Park, right outside the town of Escalante. And we drove this very stretch of road, but we didn't really talk about it too much. Oh no, here's one of those tunnels. As I go through here, you tell me, you see like that part there, it's definitely like got modern touches on it to me, where they sprayed something, or maybe put some kind of reinforced material and then sprayed it. I'm gonna guess because the original work was crumbling and little rocks were falling or something. So, and that's why I wasn't sure, because it looks kind of fake when you look at it carefully. And when I have more time in life, yeah, I would like to do a whole historical episode on this area. And as some of you have said that, you know, when we do the videos that have history attached to them and we seek something out, I see those are by far our most popular high view videos, but they're also the most time consuming to make. And if you really want, and I've had comments like, oh, you're doing a lazy job. It's too casual, basically. I know, I get it. Like if I could go sit down, I got some big ideas, trust me. But in order to do the things I want to do, I need to probably get access to actual historic records at universities and do real research. For example, I've got lots of ideas for things that I want to do around Tombstone, Arizona. I've been told that a lot of the old courthouse records that I would need access to have been probably moved to U of A. Where do I go from there, though, I guess? I guess I'd have to call somebody from the university, but can just a regular person off the street like me get access to something if I want to do a personal project, you know, for this? So, but let's say I can, you're starting to see, I guess, to give you what you want, now we got to focus on that quality and deep instead of quantity, and unfortunately that doesn't pay on YouTube. YouTube's really fashioned around just get it out the door, revolving more. Don't worry about quality. That really seems to be the way to be the most successful on the channel. So we're always trying to balance those two things. For we need to make money off of this, but we also don't want to just be like everybody else. I'm going to show you this junction here. This is how you go to Bryce Canyon. So we're on 12 still. We're going to stay on 12. We're not going to Bryce Canyon today. Well, I shouldn't say that. We're not going to the main area of Bryce Canyon because our next stop technically is in Bryce Canyon. Although it doesn't feel like it. Because you don't go through any kind of gates or anything like that. It's just like this pull out off of 12. But if you're ever going to Bryce Canyon, this roundabout is something you're certainly going to experience. Welcome to Bryce Canyon Country. I love the landscape though, those oranges and the green trees, the pine trees. It's kind of like desolate. It's like a clean looking landscape. In fact, let's take a peek here. There's like a little scenic spot here that I've never stopped at. So since we're just touring a little bit today, we'll enjoy for once one of these things. This is a beautiful little overlook. You don't have a lot of the hoodoos. I mean, there's a couple little hoodoos here and there in the landscape. The Bryce Canyon Amphitheater, I believe, is on the other side of all this stuff, but somewhere down there, somewhere down this ways is that Mossy Cave trail. I think it's a pretty short trail too. It's not like we're doing some major hiking today, but it's really pretty. Sorry for all the road noise. I mean, we're right off 12 here, but love this view. Very neat, very neat. And now back on 12 we go. I call this the orange section of 12. There's some sections that I have seen out by Boulder. I know what people are talking about. We're not gonna see that today, but we're making our way over there. Wow, look at those hoodoos up there. I always feel like I'm saying something dirty when I say, look at those hoodoos. Look at them hoodoos, baby. Look at them hoodoos. All right, Mossy Cave, 1/2 mile. And this is spoiler free. I've not even bothered to look up pictures of it. I know it's a recommended thing. I know you people out there said it's cool. I know it's in Bryce Canyon, technically. That guy's flying his drone right above the road. So that guy did something that's technically not legal, if I want to be one of those people. He's flying his drone right over the road, over cars. Unless he has a categorized drone that you can do that with, I don't think that's legal. It's the kind of stuff that people look for an excuse to give people that fly drones a bad name. Do I think that was dangerous or anything? I guess the risk, look at that. See, people are waiting for spots in here. That's almost always where I'm like, screw that, I'm not doing it. But right down here is the is the part overflow, and it's not far. I guess the nice thing too, it's not a huge parking lot, so that means there can't be that many people here, surely, right? Let's not say anything until we get in here, because I see quite a few cars in this place too. I'm gonna be upset if this isn't that good, and it's like, oh, this is all this is. This is pretty full too. There we go, there's parking. Slim just got some love. It's making his head big, but there's a lady here, a couple ladies that are traveling in this, and she saw the ZR2, and she's a ZR2 aficionado and a owner of ZR2, and her husband, who I don't know if they'll ever see this. I think he passed at some point. Sorry to hear that. I think he worked for GM as a, I don't know, I didn't really get too deep with him, but was, I think, more on the mechanical side of things, and was really hearing a lot of glowing things. And, you know, they've driven a lot of vehicles in their time. A lot of American brands. They were kind of a Ford family at first, then, you know, Dodge, GM, Chevy especially. So, you know, out of that person's experience, very good things to say about the Chevy brand. I was kind of sharing with her the comments we get about that truck sometimes. You got people, I think people are just like to throw poop around, like I'm saying, but you know, the people that are like, oh, just you wait till you get 36,000 miles, you're gonna be breaking down or whatever. That's the stuff I just don't, I have not had that experience. I've had another Chevy, by the way, over 100,000 miles on the dang thing, and I never had one mechanical issue ever. Well, I take it back. There was like this actuator, it was a hatchback Malibu, and there was no manual way to open the back, and that motor went bad, and I had to have that replaced. So that was the only gripe I had about that, was there was no manual way to override it, but it was an easy, cheap repair, and over 100,000 miles, and that's all that I had. So a lot of haters out there. I think any car you have, you could have problems. And don't you think it matters too if you take good care of it and keep up with the maintenance like I do? I mean, so anyway, that lady agreed 100%, and I think had the mechanical knowledge and everything behind it. But I'd be curious to know your guys, like, true opinions. Like, do you think Slim and I are in for it in the long run? Am I gonna be hating them one day, or is it like she said, never nary a problem? Her opinion was, I was talking about Toyotas, and her opinion is that ZR2 is gonna kick any Toyota's ass. That's what she said. I'm not gonna go there. I haven't driven any Toyotas, but she thinks that's more of a beast. So Mossy Cave is somewhere about 0.4 miles from the parking lot, less than a half mile. I hear running water. I don't know if that's from the recent rains we've gotten, but it's not far. So if there is, like, if I'm right that there's like water and a seep or something here, and I hear water, that's a good sign. I'm excited to see this finally. But because I build it up like it's gotta be something good, then I might be disappointed if it's not quite what I think. But I could tell you the walk so far, whether it is some mossy cave or not. If you want that Bryce Canyon experience without having to drive into the really crowded part of the park, probably not as good as doing something like the Queen's Garden Loop, to be honest, but you're getting that feeling for what it is. Get a close up here of the stream and those backdrops. This is talking about Water Canyon, listening to the rushing stream. Maybe this is a ever-flowing stream, I don't know. Apparently in 1892, water for the town of Tropic, which is right down the road, was diverted into this once seasonal drainage, transforming Water Canyon into one of the fastest eroding areas of the park. I do see something that looks cave-like up in those hills, and the trail seems to be going that way. Is that the Mossy Cave? There, the trail split back there. I think this is the cave. And then the rest goes up to the tropic water ditch. I saw a waterfall back there that looks awesome. So maybe on the way back we'll peek. Oh, here we go. Mossy Cave. This is okay. Can we go in it? Or just a little bit? All right. So here's your mossy cave. See, moss is growing on it. It's kind of cool in here. It's all right. The walk up here is better than this, I think. Maybe if I knew more about the geology or if there's something special about those plants, it might make it more fun. I don't know. So basically the geology is slightly acidic water cutting through limestone, creating a nice cool environment for moss to live. And that's your education for the day, I think. That's all the sign says. That's all there probably really is to say about it. One person made me think my mind was going to be blown by this. It's cool, it's worth the hike, but I think, honestly, for me, the scene coming up here is really what makes the hike. You get those Bryce Canyon vibes because you're in Bryce Canyon National Park, technically. And this is a nice, cool respite. But so is that waterfall I saw down the way. So let's go see if we can see what that's all about. All right, we're gonna go back down the trail now. See if we can see this waterfall. If you can swim in that, if it's not poisonous or something and ill-advised, I might have to go soak myself in that waterfall briefly. Wow. We're gonna walk back now, enjoy some of these views on the way back to the car. And we'll be good. So there, we finally got the Mossy Cave area, we're gonna call it, underway. And I mean, I feel bad like I'm making the Mossy Cave sound like it's not worth stopping. It definitely is, and it's nice and cool over there. But the walk there, I think, is the prize. And kind of walking down by the stream. As long as you don't end up dealing with mean people like I had, you probably enjoy it. Luckily, that happened at the very end. It's a thing that just sours things. You know, I was walking down that stream where the waterfall was. I was trying to get some shots. You might be able to see it. I don't know. I was holding the GoPro. I had it on the gimbal where it was kind of like hovering over the water. And there are these kids like throwing rocks down the stream, but I think they saw me doing that, so they were throwing rocks at me in the water, I think, to try to splash my camera. And it was very much, that's what the first one felt like. So I turned around, and what was standing there was like this big guy. I'm gonna guess like he's probably like 290, really big guy, big long beard, tough guy. You probably just, your initial thought was, I don't want to mess with him. I thought it was him and his kid. So I just kind of looked, and he, I don't know what we even said. I don't think there was anything really said. I just kind of chalked it up to a mistake. So then I turned around, I started filming again, splash, all over me and my camera. And now I turn around, I look him right in the face. I'm like, what's going on? And then he just starts dismissing me. Like he's waving at me like this. And what I don't think he was expecting, and I don't know why I did it, you know, that kind of sets me off. I'm not going to fight. I don't want any physical altercation, but I'm convinced it's him and his kid. Like, are you kidding me? So I'm gonna go have a word with him. And you can see what happens. Like the big tough guys sometimes, all you gotta do is just look him in the eye and start walking towards them, and then the submission starts, and then he points to the actual kid that's doing it. So you're a real man, buddy. Like you're like, you know, you don't know who I am. I'm a nice guy, but what if I'm mean and I'm gonna go beat up someone's kid? you know, but now he's like putting all the blame on that other kid, and I'm like, you know, so I'm like, okay. And then when I knew it was a kid, I didn't see their parents there, I just shook my head at the kid and walked, and he said, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do anything. But that's the kind of stuff that it's just like, why? What did I do? Okay, we're kind of getting back towards my neck of the woods now, where I've been staying in Kodachrome Basin State Park. This is the town of Tropic off of 12, and not far from where you would continue to go straight down 12 to get to some of the places we're going to be hitting later on this week. I already set a precedent early on that this video, I said it's a section of Highway 12 in Utah, and it has been, but the beginning I took a diversion off of it, and here towards the end I think I'm gonna go seek out one last thing that is just kind of in a spot I think that's, I don't know if there's anything near it or anything worth seeing. I haven't done enough research, but it's near where I'm camping, but it's kind of out of the way. I'm gonna tack it onto this episode. It's called Grosvenor's Arch, and it's an arch somewhere, or a double arch is my understanding, out past Kodachrome Basin State Park down a dirt road, which I'm still not sure what the status is right now, because it rained heavily in my local area yesterday, right where that road is. So if it's a muddy, slippery mess, I may abort mission, but we'll see. You're starting to see some of the mud that came out onto the road here. There's one spot in particular that was pretty bad, and even me driving over it, it's a very short patch, but I was sliding. Here it comes, this. That's the leftovers from the other day. They had a guy with a bulldozer out here day of cleaning this up, but this was very slick. I got a little taste of how slick this kind of mud can get, even in a truck like this. So home for tonight and tomorrow night, and for the last 2 nights, is in this little place called Kodachrome Basin State Park. Something we'll explore on a different episode. Where I need to go is where the pavement ends here, right outside of it, to something called Grosvenor Arch. About 10 miles down, probably something that I would consider pretty easy like that. The biggest hazard that I'm worried about is that. Impassable when wet, because I saw what wet means yesterday, or what it can mean out here, and this place was just mud. And now it's dry as a bone. I mean, we got torrential downpours and hail localized right all over up in this area right here yesterday. So who knows, maybe I'm speaking too soon and we're gonna come across something at some point. But this will be our last stretch. We're gonna give Slim a little bit more dirt today. So try to get him a little bit more dirty than that, so he looks a little tougher.
Darn tootin'.
Than that. That's kind of pitiful, Slim. I'm sorry.
So let's do it already. Yeah.
Wanted to survey this beautiful landscape with you. You can see where we came from. Since I'm droneless on this adventure, by the way, I didn't, just a misstep, forgot to bring something. Anyway, you can see there's a truck I passed a ways back there. I might want to get back in before he catches up with me, because then I'll have to pass him again. But anyway, I'm just also surveying to see if any of these clouds look problematic and it's going to become a storm, and I don't have that feeling today. They seem to be keeping far enough apart. Man. This is such an amazing place, Utah. When there's not kids throwing rocks at you. You can see the clouds rolling over the landscape here. But those rainy, out of the nowhere storms always kind of start off this way, don't they? I just don't see that conglomeration Oh, I just saw a lightning bolt way off in the distance, though. Maybe that little spidey sense of mine, that little tingle is right. Let's push. Maybe I don't want to push my luck here. I see like a BLM sign coming up. I think I see the arch. See that up to the left? There's an arch there. I think that is it, because I read it as a double arch, and it kind of is. This is it. We made it. And it's right off the road, so it's a day use site. There are those people. They did come here. So now I'm gonna join them. All right, we are here at Grosvenor's Arch, which was not always called Grosvenor Arch. It's named after some guy from 1947, Dr. Gilbert Grosvenor. And now we'll go take a look at it. So it's named the Butler Arch, is what it said, prior to the National Geographic Society coming out here. It's a little hot coming out on this trail, I'm not gonna lie. Sun is beating down. This is the best part of Utah, in my opinion, is the places like this. This is a good example of the kind of place that someone's gonna give me a real hard time about giving away the secrets. It's not somewhat, how is it a secret when there are signs like pointing right to it? But you're encouraging the people, man, Glenn, that's what you're doing. I know I'm in conflict about this too sometimes, trust me. I'm searching deep. You know, if you've been watching our channel for a long time, you know arches are something you'll see many of, and it's hard to say which one's better than the other because they're all so different. There's something unique about some of them, and this is one of those where I think it's just the type of rock. It's not that Navajo sandstone looking arch you'd see at like Arches National Park. It's just got that little tinges of that Bryce Canyon orange in it. But you also have a lot of unevenness around it. You have two arches, technically, one supported by a column there in the middle. And then if those arches break though, then they're gonna be hoodoos. So my question is, if you go to Bryce Canyon and you study a little bit, you learn about features called windows that form, then the tops break off and then they're hoodoos. So is there a technical difference between an arch and a window, and how do you differentiate? Any geologists out there that want to take that one on? Wow. I think it's the coloration of this rock that makes it more unique and enjoyable for me. But you know, as far as arches go, and even double arches, I mean, we've seen a lot. So once you start seeing a lot, I can't say that I've ever seen one that I didn't like. This one's aight. It's pretty cool, but the color makes it a little bit more than aight. Grosvenor Arch. Dr. Gilbert Grosvenor. Well, folks, I think this is a fitting place to end this episode. It's a pretty full day, really, at least from my perspective. Probably gonna make for a long video, but you got to see a lot, all the way from Panguitch, all the way out to Grosvenor's Arch near Kodachrome. Took you on a pretty expansive section of 12. Fun day. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Of course, tell your friends about the Cactus Atlas, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.